Welcome, everybody, to your most favorite podcast, High Vibin' It. We are super excited to have you here today, and we have a very special guest to talk on probably health-related things, but we're not going to label it in the beginning. We're just going to let the conversation flow, see where it goes. We have Mr. Udo Erasmus with us here today, and I'm going to introduce him to you as a human being with awesome hair, which you can see if you go on the Patreon, and lots of cool info and wisdom to share with us on health. And he's really an advocate for showing people how to be their own guru. And, that's why we wanted to have him on the show, because we're all about living our most high vibe life. And that includes health, which we don't always touch on the body stuff because we're always talking a lot about emotions and healing and self-love and energy. But now we're going to get into the physical body stuff today. So I'm really excited to talk on some of that. So Udo, thanks for joining us.
Not glad to join you. And while I'll sneak out of the body stuff too, because I have some things to say about the other stuff too.
Yes, they all work together. It's just different entry points. So yeah, we're super excited to have you here. And if you guys aren't on the podcast, on the Patreon, you got to go to patreon.com/highvibe where we post the extended versions of these episodes, because before we came live, he was giving a really cool backstory, which I'm sure he'll give some more tidbits now on air, but you guys just got to go there also so you can see his fabulous.
I have this habit of asking really good questions before the official episode goes. So there's a lot of good stuff before and after the episode. But I'm excited to talk to you today. And I really want to know, you have a fascinating backstory. So tell us as much as you want about what kind of brought you here in this space today, and what that was like for you. Because I'm the details are amazing.
The long backstory started in 1942.
Okay.
My parents came from Latvia and Estonia. They left when the communists started heading there. They ended up in Poland. I was born in Poland on a stolen farm. It's a whole long other political Second World War story. And by the time I was 2.5, we were refugees fleeing out of Poland. And basically the setting was Hitler got everybody into the mess. The Pope had an agreement not to out Hitler. The communists were chasing us in tanks and trucks down dirt roads. And we were refugees, mostly mothers with young children, fleeing in horse-drawn hay wagons down a road that had no military presence. And the Allies, these are the good guys, were using refugees as target practice, shooting at us from planes.
Oh my gosh.
So I was 2.5 years old. I remember fear. I remember not feeling safe. I remember chaos. I remember anxiety. I remember every day being different, kind of like lockdown. Every day you get a different story, and not knowing what I could depend on. And just like fear, hunger. And we made it out, but it didn't occur to me until I was 26 or 27 that the whole time through all this mess, something had taken perfect care of me from inside. And it's like the war ended when I was 3, right? And I'm still bitching about it at 26. So 23 years of no war, but creating it in my head. Well, what do you expect? And one day I was sitting in the sunshine on my porch, and that occurred to me. Oh my God, this whole time that I've been complaining about the war, something inside me took perfect care of me, because here I am. And I said, gee, I have never given that any acknowledgement. Maybe life needs a little acknowledgement, or maybe it'd just be good for me to give life some acknowledgement and recognize that. And maybe I could become better friends with it. And maybe I could just get a little closer to it and get to know it a little better. Because apparently it's taking perfect care of me 24/7, never asks for anything back, totally unconditional love for the body, life, right? And that was a big turning point for me. So this is like a piece of the long story.
That's cool. That's powerful. I love how it just like hit you one day out of quote
Gosh.
unquote
It
out of
literally
nowhere.
did. It literally did. There was no external trigger for it. I was just sitting there.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when when you just sit there. It's called meditation or stillness,
Mm-hmm.
and you just be present. All kinds of things start to occur to you. Insights. There are so many answers inside of every one of us. They're all waiting for us to sit still enough so they can surface. Right?
Yeah. And
So,
and we talk about it all the time, but all it takes is that stillness. You don't really even have to be doing anything. That's the key, is not to try.
yeah,
Just sit, just be still and allow.
especially you have to not do anything.
Yeah, right. You have to try
Right?
not to do anything.
To be a human being rather than a human
Right.
doing.
Oh, I love that. Human
Right?
being rather than a human doing. Oof, that's
But
powerful.
we get, we're always doing stuff. Got to do this, got to do that, right? So I say to people sometimes, if you do too much, you turn into doo-doo.
I was gonna say that. We're just doing too much everywhere, guys. Stop doing so much. So what happened then? I'm sure you didn't just jump right into the field that you're in the next day, but
No.
once you have that awareness, how did things, I guess, start to change around you?
So I was really shy when I was a kid because I didn't feel safe. And so I read a lot of books because books are safe. You can read a book about a war, but there are no bullets flying, right? so that was cool. So I did a lot of reading. When I was 6, I listened to people argue in Germany. We were in Germany after the war. 6 years old, they're arguing about stuff that I thought was completely trivial. And the thought occurred to me. I didn't like the arguments because they were like so intense and and it was like it's too close to what I'd already experienced. And the thought occurred to me, man, there must be a way that people can live in harmony. And then this little voice that said, and I'm going to find out how. Being 6 years old, not knowing how complicated everything, I'm going to figure it out. And that's been my driver all my life.
That's adorable.
And I figured it out. But that's a whole other story. And then when it came to education, my parents believed in education. They were from Europe. Education is a big deal there. I went into science to figure out how things work because I was pretty unsettled, right? And then I got into biosciences to figure out how creatures work. And then I went into psychology to figure out how thinking works. And then I went into medicine to figure out how health works, but I only learned about disease. So I left after a year and went back into biochemistry and genetics. And then eventually I still was looking for something that I thought I'd find in biology and psychology, and I still hadn't found it. And so I left university and got into self-knowledge, because what I really needed to know is how I work.
Word.
Right? So that's so out of that comes a huge background of things in the world. Then for a few years, I took every blue collar job that I could get, not because I wanted to specialize in that job, but I wanted to know what it feels like to be in the shoes of the people doing that work. And so I would do like 3 to 6 months. That's where the steep learning curve is for skills, right? And after 3 to 6 months, then I moved to the next one, moved to the next one, moved to the next one. I did just about everything. And then got married. We had 3 kids. The marriage broke up. I was really upset. So I took a job as a full-time pesticide sprayer. And I had gotten 99.5% on the exam to become one. And I already had it. And I decided to take a full-time job as a pesticide sprayer because I wanted to kill something because I was so upset.
Makes sense.
And then I was really careless. That goes with being really upset, right? And after 3 years, I got poisoned by pesticides. And then I went to the doctor, said, what do you have for pesticide poisoning? She said, nothing. Great advice. Oh my God, I'm on my own. Health is my responsibility. And I got really focused on health. I knew the body is made out of food, water, and air. I was mainly focused on food. I knew that 98% of the atoms in your body are removed and replaced every year. Most people don't even know that.
Yeah.
But here you are. If we talk in a year from now, you will be only 2% of who is here today will be there.
Right.
Right? 98%. And what that means is that if I raised my standard for how I eat, then in 1 year, I will have rebuilt 98% of my body to a higher standard. That's what healing is about. Because your body is always turning over. Your body is a construction site. Always turning over, always turning over, always turning over. Different tissues at different rates, and different parts at different rates. Like the water goes through you 3 liters a day if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? So your water, I figured it out last night. You will drink 15.6 times your body's total weight in water every year. 15 times. So
Wow.
like your whole, your body's weight in water every month, more, even
15
less,
times that.
15.6 times.
Phew.
And the food, the oxygen is about 3.6 times your body's weight in oxygen goes through your body every year. And
Wow.
food, the nutrients, is more like 2.6. Something like that. It's like 20 times your weight in stuff goes through your body every year. Every year.
That's incredible.
Right? So when you say, well, I'm me. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're just a moving feast. You're not paying attention enough to know how much movement there is in that feast. Right?
Wow.
And in the meantime, you get to have the experience of being human. And you're really just what? Solar energy, oxygen, water, and dust. Right? And those are not that interesting. They're interesting, but not that interesting. But then you get put together to make you and to make you, to make me, to make a human being. And you get to have the human experience, cry and laugh and dance and, have lofty ideas and, all the things that we have, babies, right? All the things we do just because solar energy, oxygen, water, and dust were mixed up in a very particular way to make a human being. Now, if you're not fascinated by that, maybe you need your head examined.
Yeah.
Maybe you have, maybe you're poisoned too. And your brain's inflamed.
Or maybe you need your heart examined.
It does pose an intriguing question though, because the body by itself is just a miracle. It really is. The way that everything moves and works together so perfectly.
Yeah.
But you can't help but wonder, like, well, that is half of what makes a human. The other half is the spirit, the brain, the soul, the computer, right?
Yeah.
What actually operates the body. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
I want to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts?
Perfect. Look at my background.
Yeah.
On this side is stuff. Okay. Clutter. Physical. Right? Form. And on this side is energy, is potential, is possibility, is power. You take this incredible body that you talk about. If you take this out of that body, you basically have a rotting corpse.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So all of what you're talking about, the incredible thing that a human being is made by solar energy that went through green plants that got stored in the bonds between atoms to make molecules that became your food that you ate and then broke down and released the solar energy, and that's your life.
Yeah.
So your sunshine, you're not my only sunshine, but you are sunshine. Right? So your sunshine, the sunshine is the power. That sunshine is the love, the unconditional love that life has for your body. That's solar energy, right? And that energy weighs nothing and runs everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that energy created the combinations of atoms to make the molecules like DNA and all of the molecules that make this incredible, fancy, clutter structure of the body, right?
Wow.
All being driven and maintained and repaired and replaced by an energy that weighs nothing, runs everything, is omnipresent in your body, is omniscient in your body, and is omnipotent in your body. All power in you is that solar energy called life. And not only is it solar energy that went into plants, that went into you and became your life, but when you sit still and you focus on that energy is the master of your body. And the master that we talk about, the great masters, they were people who lived present in that energy and spoke from the wisdom that is embedded in that energy, because it knows everything. It knows everything about how to create a human being, without any ego in it. Never, your life never says, look at me, look at this incredible thing I'm doing, right? We do that in our head, right? But the energy just takes care of it, and you could be completely freaked out about something, and you could be completely distracted by something. And life is just doing its job of unconditionally loving you every moment of every day for a whole lifetime.
Mm-hmm. The sunshine is the power. I love when you said that.
Power.
I'm a big sun worshiper, so I'm all about it.
Yeah, and then, but if you get into the spiritual aspect of it, all the tribes that worship the sun, whether it was Egyptians or natives or wherever, they were actually, in a way, they actually understood it better than we do, right? And and then the great masters like Buddha or Christ or Krishna or all those guys, they were doing the practice of being the energy instead of thinking they were the body, and speaking from there and helping other people because they knew how to sit still, teaching other people how to sit still and connect into that same energy that they spoke from within themselves, right? Because every human being has that same energy inside, whether you call it solar energy or master or life, or whether you call it Christ, Buddha, Krishna, or whoever all the other masters were.
Gandalf.
Gandalf.
Yoda.
Nerd alert. Nerd alert.
Well,
don't forget those guys.
These are mental constructs because they were invented by somebody, right? But
I
they
love
were
it
invented to be like that.
Yeah, I love that you said they practice. It's so simple because people put so much into how to do these things, how to be like a Buddha or have that. What is it called? The, not tantra, but what's the word? When you get to the highest level, anyway,
Enlightenment.
Enlightenment. Thank you.
Enlightenment.
Think of the word enlightenment.
But
they put, it seems so hard, but you have put it so simple. And I think it's beautiful. Practice being the energy instead of being the body, being in the body. I just think that's amazing.
If you could just sit still and look at or listen for or feel the energy that occupies the space your body occupies. There is, when you look into the darkness that you see when you close your eyes, if you look deep enough into that darkness, you actually see light. There's the enlightenment. Buddha came up with that one, right? Light lit up from within. We're all lit up from within, but we don't see it if our awareness is out there. Because we do see it when our awareness is in here. Right?
Juicy stuff.
I just want you to narrate my whole life now. I want you to be the voice in my head because you speak nothing but truth.
Okay, now 8 billion people living on this planet, all were made by that same, I don't know what to call it. It's not even a formula. They're made the same. Every human being, doesn't matter where they are, what their culture is, what their nation is, their age, their gender, their race, their culture, their religion. Every human being was made by life, by solar energy through the natural system into the human body. Every human being was made by that. The only difference between the masters and us was they took it seriously and we dabble in it.
Yeah.
So, and of course, their thing, what they all said was, don't dabble. Take it seriously. Do this first. Make this your first priority. Because you want peace, well, you already have it. Peace is already everywhere. But your access to peace is from the core of your own being. That means sit still, sit as still as you can, go as deep into that stillness as you can, hang out there as long as you can. And in that space, you will discover a peace. And when you look at that, when you be with that peace, you'll notice that that peace is not limited by your body, by the limits of your body. It literally radiates from the core of your being to the end of the universe. Yeah. Not only for me, but you and you and you and you and you and you. Every human being has that peace as their foundation. On top of that, unconditional love, that is the solar energy. On top of that, inspiration, which is the shine of that energy into the world. And now then we get to the body. And then after that, it's survival skills. That's for physical survival. That's the second part of mind. First part of mind is inspiration. And then you got social group, and then you got natural environment, and then you got the big picture, a temporary, here is this body, temporary, formed, destructible in an infinite universe. And to be fully present to all of that, to all of your being and your surroundings, not lost in thoughts in your head, that's the cherished state. And then everything works. And then everything works.
Bet you guys didn't know we'd be going to church today. I feel so inspired. I feel so good.
And it's homework. This is homework we need to do. I don't mean homework in a bad way. This is like really good homework.
Home play.
Super good homework. Do your super good homework.
Well, one thing that stuck out that you said in terms of taking it more serious, or one easy thing that people can start doing is close your eyes, look at that darkness until you see light. Yeah. That's anyone can do that. It's so easy.
Yeah. Well, except you won't see any light for a while.
Well, yeah, you have to be patient.
but what actually is I was going to address that, but then I forgot.
That's why I'm here.
So you say, well, people always say, well, how do I do that? See, that's already the wrong question, because we're not doing. See, they want to do being. You can't do being. You can only be being. You can only do doing. So they say, how do I do that? It's already the wrong question. And the moment you ask that question, you don't get an answer. You don't get there by doing. You get there by letting go. You get there by relaxing. You get there by inner surrender. So what do? You close your eyes, so you leave the world outside. You leave your thoughts in your head, so move away from your thoughts. Maybe you could follow your breathing. That would be, but I'm still talking about doing, right? But at some point you have to let go and drop into being. And there's a gap between doing and being. You have to jump that gap.
So many perspective shifts here, and another one that you said that really sticks out is when people talk about meditating or clearing their mind, they talk about letting the thoughts drift away or moving the thoughts. But you're saying move yourself away from the thoughts, like drop away from the mind instead of trying to manipulate the thoughts to either go away or to pause or to whatever. I love that. I think
go ahead.
It's just such a good, because some people find that so difficult, but maybe just by hearing you say it this way, it's easier for them to adapt to and to start to practice. I just think it's so cool.
Yeah, but in your body, in your whole being, thoughts are in the cortex of your brain. And we spend a lot of time going there because all of our knowledge bases and all of our skills and everything, we learn them with our head first. not necessarily so much experientially, but theoretically first, right? So we're actually trained to be driven into living in this part of our being. But you know what? There is no thought in my elbow. There's no thought in my other elbow either. There's no thought in here. There's no thought in my teeth. There's no thought in my neck. There's no thought in my hair. There's no thought in any other part of the body except in here. Okay, so how do you become thinking crazy? You know, too much thinking, and then you get mental illness. And how do you do that? By staying there. This has a job to do, which is to think, and correlate and you know, and figure things out. That's its job. It will not stop doing its job, but you don't have to pay attention. It'll do its job anyway. So go elsewhere. Have a picnic. Have a picnic in your breath. Have a picnic in your kneecaps. Have a picnic in the feeling of your bum sitting on the chair. Have a picnic in the feeling of your feet on the floor. Have a picnic in exploring the energy part of the space inside your body, the space your body occupies. And literally letting go is the way to go. If you chase you know, if I start thinking, well, you know what? I need to stop thinking. I'm thinking to stop thinking. Oh, I'm still not doing. Oh, you know, and then you can drive yourself emotionally crazy because you're trying to force something that needs to be accepted. This thing has a job to do that needs to be accepted, but I don't have to be there. Right? And wherever my focus goes, that's what my reality becomes. Right? So the inside here is a feeling of unconditional love. And when my focus goes there, I become unconditional love. I feel so cared for. Now I can actually help because help is needed, not because I get some payoff. Because when I feel whole, when I feel cared for, the only thing left to do is to help, because it's not about me anymore. My narcissism ends when I feel cared for inside. Right? Until I feel cared for inside, everything I do has an element of, how is that going to take care of me? And then I won't do things that need to be done because I can't see how they will take care of me. And so things get left undone. And look at the world. That's the kind of world we've created because we haven't done our homework.
Yes, I love
So
it.
much good stuff.
I love everything.
I love this
that's happening right now. I
still don't know what we're going to call this episode because we've gone so many places that have been amazing.
Well, I want to go in a new direction, or maybe it's the same direction because it does have to do with taking care of oneself. Can we talk about toxins?
Because that's so funny because I was just going to say that. So I'm so glad we're on the same page. I didn't want to forget.
This is very timely.
You guys are psychic on each other.
I know we are. This is a very timely conversation for me personally because I've been learning more about household items that contain certain toxins and where to switch things out or swap ingredients or get rid of things in your life to help reduce exposure, which can be a little bit stressful because you're like, oh my gosh, everything basically in our lives is toxic. So that sucks. And then you get a little bit overwhelmed. But once you get over that hump of overwhelm, I feel like it becomes really empowering to know like, okay, this is what I want to have around me, because it's not only food. It's so many things. Like you were poisoned by something that was not food. You weren't eating it, but you were still consuming it. And we consume things through our eyes, through our skin, through our mouth, through our minds. Like we're consuming all different types of things. And since this is called High Vibe in It, we're obviously interested in living at the most high vibrational level for the purpose of loving ourselves and living our best lives. So if you could just speak on toxins and we'll just go from there.
Okay. So let me put it in perspective for you from the way I look at it. The awareness, the internal awareness where your peace lives, there's no toxicity in peace. Zero, because it's not even physical, right? So the next level up, unconditional love, no toxicity. Next level up, inspiration, no toxicity. Okay, and your whole being can be filled with that with that no toxicity state of being, right? Electrons, no toxicity. Atoms, no toxicity. Molecules, no toxicity. It isn't until you get to interactions between molecules that the toxicity becomes an issue. And how does that work? Well, in nature, certain molecules were made building blocks for body construction and body repair and body maintenance, right? And when you get the right molecules together, which all came from nature, then you get a body where everything works. When you create molecules that never existed in nature, there's a good chance that life never made a program for breaking them down and making them either structurally or energetically useful to the body. And then they interact in the body in a way that life never made a program for. And then you begin to get symptoms of toxicity. Okay? Now, the reason I put it that way is almost everything in you cannot be poisoned.
Mm-hmm.
But your body can be. But your body is terminal anyway. Right? So, or the way we say it is every body eventually gets crucified. Right? Whether it's by old age or an accident or whatever, or
Mm-hmm.
alcohol or drugs or industrial toxins or undamaged food molecules. So don't make that your focus. Oh my God, toxicity. Oh my God, I got to not know. Oh my God, right? Because then you'll just run yourself into a dark hole. Because toxicity is a dark hole, basically, right? Live as much as you can in the peace that lasts forever, in the unconditional love that lasts forever, in a body that one day will crap out. Okay? So fundamentally it means do the best you can. Don't get obsessed with it.
Good advice.
I mean, I like that advice.
No, but it makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is pretty timely. Lately, sometimes, how sometimes you'll think about something and be like, oh yeah, I really need to figure that out. And then you kind of forget about it for a really long time. And then you come back to me like, oh yeah, I never figured that out. Yeah. So I'm going through that with water bottles. I consume so much water through water bottles. My kids drink out of water bottles. And I can't, every time I let myself think about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, microplastics. Oh my gosh, this is horrible. I need to get them like water bottles, BPA free, and which I did, but they don't use them. So it really, I think what you're saying is wrap your thoughts instead around the peace and unconditional love that you have, because, and what I know to be true is, if I'm thinking negatively about these things, guess what? It's going to have a more negative effect as if I were just thinking about the water inside that's nourishing my body.
Because you're creating the negativity on top of the plastic.
Right? Yeah.
But let me say one more thing. If you live like this and you get in touch with the wholeness that you will always be, even if your body's poisoned, or even if your ideas are really, really crazy, really disorganized, or your environment is a disaster area, or your social circles are completely dysfunctional. If you live in the wholeness that exists within you, in spite of that, you will also begin to appreciate your life more, and you will do things more in line with living as long and as healthy as you can for as long as possible. Right? But the change, and this is why I'm saying this, is the changes that need to be made. It's like we're not confused. I was in a movie called Eating Our Way to Extinction. I think I got 30 seconds in a 1.5 hour movie talking about oils. But and it just came out and it's a big deal. You can check it out.
I'm gonna watch it. Yeah. Wait, should I, or am I just gonna freak out more? Now I don't know.
So yeah, that's a good point. And you have choice over that. You can decide how that's going to be for you, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about eating our way to extinction. We're screwing up the environment. we're screwing up the politics, we're screwing up our relationships, we're screwing up our health because we're not doing our homework to get ourselves taken care of, or feel taken care of. And so then we always put it on something else. Oh, if I bang out all these trees and I make a lot of money, well, then I'm going to be good. So we've destroyed 75% of all the trees that were on the planet 10,000 years ago. Well, that needs to change, but we won't change it until we fall in love with existence, until we are so unbelievably, oh my God, I don't believe I get to do this. And then that begins to be our radiation. That begins to be our expression. And that will have effects on the environment. So maybe we'll plant some trees, or maybe when we chop one down, we plant another one, right? And that will change our politics, how we talk to each other and how we cooperate instead of beating each other up for a piece of a too small pie that we think is a too small pie, right? And then we won't be asking our partner to fulfill us, because fulfillment is an inside job. So you can be in a relationship, and this is what happened to my relationship before I got poisoned, right? I saw the beauty in her. She saw the beauty in me. That surprised me, actually, but because I didn't see it, right? And so I thought that my fulfillment or my love was going to come from her. She thought her love was going to come from me. The problem was that she hadn't done her homework and I hadn't done my homework to be in touch with the love within me. So if so in a relationship, if you can't get to the love that you are, and the other person can't get in touch with the love that they are, and you both can't get it and bring it out, then where the hell is the love in the relationship supposed to come from?
Hey there, we hope you're enjoying this episode so far, but if you want to listen to the whole thing, we're going to invite you over to our podcast. Either search for High Vibing It on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you guys listen to podcasts, or even better, if you want to watch the extended video version of this episode that's even longer than the actual podcast itself, head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/highvibe. Lindsay, tell them what's awesome about the Patreon.
Patreon is where we have all of our extended episodes. As Kelsey said, we have it on video, so you can actually see the things that we're talking about. Sometimes we have visual aids, and it's nice to know what we're talking about. We also have hangouts that we do sometimes that are exclusive to Patreon people. And you can get started with all of this and bonus content and everything that we have only for the Patreon people for as little as $3. I think it's $3.33 a month. And that's it. And you guys can get all the benefits and all access to everything that we put in there. Really cool.
It's really cool, really fun, super easy to join. And you guys don't even have to do that to finish this episode. If you're like, screw it, I don't want to pay any money, I just want to hear the rest of this episode, go to our podcast, High Vibing It, search for it wherever you listen. It's totally free. Either way, enjoy the rest of the show wherever you choose to enjoy it. And we will see you guys next week because we do a new one every week. Adios.
Bye.